Well, to discuss this, I'm joined by international relations expert, Professor Gilbert Khadiagala from the Wits University. Professor, appreciate your time this afternoon. Uncharted territory was part of what that narrative said moments ago. How do you rate the chances of Kamala Harris? And what sort of challenges does she face, firstly, in getting endorsement as the Democratic candidate?
I think the biggest challenge for her is to win the support of the Democratic Party as the nominee. And I think once she surmounts that problem, then she has the issue of trying to get the entire party around her because she doesn't have much time. The Democratic convention is on the 19th, starts on the 19th of August. And that is when she will have to be nominated. What the Democratic Party is trying to do is to try to have a virtual vote before the 19th so that they can see whether she has the support of all the candidates or whether there is somebody who is going to oppose her, because they don't want to go to the convention without certainty about who is going to be the nominee. So they want to be sure that either she is the one or who are the other candidates. And then, of course, if she wins the nomination, she needs to face Trump. The Republican Party is going to pull all the stops to make sure that she doesn't actually succeed.
So what stands in the way? What stands in the way of her being nominated?
Currently, I think the nomination, there are other candidates who are doubting that she can be a candidate that can beat Trump. They are not out in the open yet, but they haven't announced their intention. So we need to wait and see who is actually against her. There are many people, I think, who may not want to say very publicly that she's a black woman, therefore she can't win against Mr. Trump. But they would have to remain silent for now because they also don't want to divide the Democratic Party because she has her supporters.
I'm sure she definitely does. And that's clear because she's also a one-time presidential candidate. So there's that measure of experience behind her. We understand that a swarm of supporters endorsed Kamala Harris, moving her to the top of the list of potential donations and of nominees, and also that a substantial amount has been raised in hours after President Biden endorsed her. So these are some of the things that are going for her. What else would add to her ability or likelihood for success if she did go, if she was nominated as the presidential candidate for the Democrats?
I think her best selling point would be to mobilize the younger generation that Obama used to gain power. And I think if she can tap into that constituency, which is a fairly strong constituency, and if they can harp on the fact that Trump is 78 and Harris is only 59. So that's a big generational difference. I think it could sell to, the younger voters who are probably likely, in fact, to energize her campaign like they did for Obama a few years ago.
Now, with only 3 months left to really campaign to some measure, do you think Biden's left it a little too late to throw in the towel?
I think that was his greatest mistake. He should have, in fact, announced much earlier. I think there are all signs from last year that his health was not in very good condition. And I think this is the decision about a very late announcement really hurts the party to a large extent, because 3 months is not a long time, even though he raised $96 million, which the Harris campaign can now inherit. But the problem is that it's just not too much time, because she also needs time to choose a vice presidential candidate. And this always takes months. Now she'll only have to take a few weeks to make that decision. So that to me, I think, is the biggest problem that she's facing. And if she can overcome it, probably she'll be a competitive candidate.
Okay, so let's talk about what's against her. And history is against her because in 200 years, I think, as the narrative said, there's been only one black man who's been voted into the highest office in the United States, and never a woman. So Kamala Harris is not only black, but she's also a woman. And then over and above that, there's the force or the Trump factor, right? How is she likely to overcome the Trump factor or deal with it? And from what we picked up, following that debate in which Biden lost to Trump, polls kind of had it tied at 44 to 44 in the popularity polls. So based on that, there seems to be a measure of hope.
There is a measure of hope, but you see, the problem is she'll have to confront Trump more frontally than she has ever done before. So when they have their debate, the country will have to judge whether, in fact, she's ready to debate Trump, or whether she is ready to confront the Republican Party, which, as I said, is going to pull all the stops to make sure that she doesn't actually come even close, because they are going to tag her with the Biden legacy, and then, of course, her own legacy, which is not a very stellar legacy as vice president. So there are many things going against her, and the Trump camp would want to exploit the fact that she's relatively inexperienced, if you could put it that way. But I'm saying, compared to, I think, all the pluses, the kind of constituency that she's able to mobilize, and if she can get the Democratic Party solidly behind her, I think it will be an important point. Because what you don't want to do is to get to the convention and then there is chaos, like they did in 1968 when Lyndon Johnson stepped out of the campaign. So it's important that there is a democratic unity. It's important that she be anointed, if we could put it that way, by the convention, not by Biden. And then I think after that, she can then deal with the 3 months more confidently that she can, in fact, make a difference on the campaign trail.
And finally, Professor, do we read anything into Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, two heavyweights in the Democratic allies, not actually endorsing Kamala Harris? Barack Obama said, we will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. So if the only former black president of the United States does not endorse Kamala Harris, does she have a chance, or is this just him politicking? Is he being politically correct in that statement?
No, I think he needs more time to think about it because ultimately, come November, he will have to vote for a Democrat. And I think that Democrat, if it's going to be Kamala Harris, I doubt that he'll be voting for Trump. I think he just wants some time to think about that decision. And maybe he's consulting widely before he makes that decision. And Pelosi also there. Pelosi is from California, and Harris is also from California. So I also don't see really the delay in the endorsement as a negative element. I just see that as an issue that will be resolved with time. And they as I said, they have time until the convention. But if they can't do it, then they have until November to cast their vote.
But Professor, you did say moments ago that the writing has been on the wall that Biden was unlikely to contest, or at the very least that he should have dropped out or pulled out some time ago. So I'd imagine that with the foresight that some of these leaders have, conversations would have already started and proffered potential individuals to take over.
Yeah, no, I think, Hugo, that's a good point. That in fact they should have done it yesterday. But I'm just putting out an alternative position that I don't know what motivated their action not to endorse her immediately. But the point is that I think down the road they will.
All right, Professor Gilbert Khadiagala from First University, always great chatting to you and packing for us at that conversation ahead of the potential nomination of Kamala Harris as the Democratic presidential candidate.